the protests that we saw that first week in Memorial Day, after Memorial Day, that was not grassroots at all. Like, that was the most Astroturfed thing that I could ever that you could ever imagine.
It was like a reaction.
But it was totally astroturfed. There's no way that you could organically organize 15 to 25 million people to stand next to each other in the middle, like in the street, right at once. Like, there's no way that you can organize that unless there are people at the top helping to facilitate that.
You don't think it was just something that, like, we saw these protests spread across the country, and then like a day after that, everyone just went out? You don't think it was just an autonomous thing?
No, I do not. I think that a lot of people have justifiable feelings for police accountability and for police brutality and for instituting meaningful police reforms and holding cops accountable, but that did not feel like it was organic in any capacity. I really don't think it did, and it doesn't take away from the message. Like, the message, it's a message that we should be adapting, but I just don't think that. I think that message was being exploited and it was being weaponized, and I think that when 15 to 25 million people are standing next to each other in the face of a pandemic, and then you also have to factor in that, like, people are getting tear gassed and they're getting maced, and what happens when you get maced and tear gassed? What do you do?
It sucks.
What do you do physically when you start getting tear gassed and maced? Like, what do you do?
You leave. You wash yourself off with, like.
No, what are you doing? Like, what are you immediately doing once you start getting fucking maced or tear gassed?
What do you mean? Probably
coughing?
In pain. Yeah, coughing.
You're coughing.
Yeah,
and you're coughing.
Okay,
and 15 million people are coughing on one another in the middle of a pandemic, and you don't think that's gonna, like, help spread
15 million is a lot, but
no, throughout the country it was 15 to 26 million people. That's a documented statistic of people who are out there protesting this George Floyd stuff.
What do you think about all the people arrested for, like, peacefully protesting? Do you think they'd have their charges dropped? Because a lot of them they're just kind of getting arrested for resisting arrest. Like, I know this happened to Hiram. They dropped him eventually. He was just out. He's a local journalist too. He's a live
he's the
streamer.
guy who filmed Garrett Foster getting shot.
Yeah, and he was arrested kind of by police then, and they put resisting arrest charges on him, and then released him the next day along with some other people there that night as well. And do you think they should just drop these charges against people?
I think a lot of the charges should get dropped. I think, like, the resisting arrest charges should probably get dropped, right? Or if people are, like, get arrested for, like, these misdemeanor stuff, definitely. But if you're, like, from out of state and you're, like, you're coming, like, to Kenosha, Wisconsin, you're from Texas to go to Kenosha and protest, like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. You're literally, like, invading another person's space, man. Like, you know what I mean?
It's still America, though.
Yeah, it is America, but it's like, especially when you know what these protests are turning into after, like, the first week in Memorial Day, like, what you're doing is not about instituting meaningful change. It's about creating chaos, especially if you're, like, from another part of the country and you're going like another part of the country far away, not like 20 miles away in the neighboring state, right? But if you're, like, from, like, hundreds of miles away going to a certain area to go and protest and you get arrested, man, that's on you, dude. You better be, like, if you're going to do that, you better be as peaceful as you can while you're doing that.
Okay, I get that.
If you're gonna come from, like, another state, right, far away to protest police reform and police brutality, let the people who live in that area be in the front lines. It's not your job to be in the front lines. If there's a protest in Wisconsin, you come from Texas to go protest in Wisconsin, guess what you should not be doing? Being on the front line. You need to like back up and let the people who live in that area be the ones who take charge of that movement, and your job is to, like, provide food to people and make sure that the other people on the front are safe. And if you're doing that, you're probably not getting arrested.
I don't know. I saw that night with the snack van in D.C. The same day they, like, fed us, and I'd been there. I watched the police break the windows of that van and arrest the guy. And he was just sitting there
giving snacks.
Yeah, he was in.
That's
it was
bad.
in Black Lives Matter Plaza.
Okay, that's
next,
really
behind the White House.
Okay. That's really bad, and this is another reason why I'm happy that you're on the show telling me this stuff, because a lot of people aren't aware of that, and I'm glad that you're bringing that up.
They only see one side,
and I'm glad that you're bringing that up, because that is a huge problem, and it's only perpetuating all the bullshit that we're dealing with right now.
And it scares people. That's why people don't use their real names, because they're fucking terrified of what the police are going to do to them. And, like, why do we want that? Why do we want to have, like, an entity like above us that enforces this thing that we have to be afraid of? Do you really want that? Do you want to be afraid? And a lot of people are.
Dude, I don't want that, because at the end of the day, man, like, what if the cops were to act the way they were acting around me because I don't want to wear a mask or I don't want to get the COVID vaccine? It's all two sides of the same coin, so we all have to be understanding of that. And this is something that we all got to be working together on. And I really hope that the people who are in charge of, like, these grassroots movements understand that even people on the right don't want a police state either.